Hey, for my video today, I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into the Hebrew word for ground. If we look in chapter 2 of Genesis, when it talks about God forming man out of the dust of the ground. If we go to the actual text, where's my finger? All right, we've got Yahweh, Elohim, et Adam. Adam, this is the man. So Adam is the word for man. Dust from the ground. Okay, so this is the word here. Ha, meaning the. So the word for ground is Adamah here. All right, so I've done it on my little whiteboard. Okay, so if we look at these, this word just tells us so much about the whole story of man and the creation of man. So if you look at the individual letters, we've got Aleph, Dalet, Mem, and Hey. So that reads Adamah. All right, so you can already hear that the word for man, Adam, is contained in the word Adamah, which means ground. So what have we lost from the ground to man? What's happening here is God is separating man from, so the word for man is Adam, so I'm just going to get rid of the hey at the end there, leaving Adam. We'll put the hey over here somewhere. Okay, so we've got a separation between to form man from the ground, Adamah. We've separated this hay out and left the word for man, which is Adam. Now, when we say man, at this point in the creation process, man was not separated into his respective genders. That actually happens later on in chapter 2, when God separates female out from male. And it's really interesting actually, because in chapter 1 people don't really talk about this. When it talks about God creating man in his own image, he created them male and female. Now, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Now it's interesting because at this point in the process, he hasn't actually separated Eve out from Adam. So he's referring to man. He's referring to man, Adam, as both male and female. I'm sure that there's probably the more common reading is that maybe they're just jumping ahead to talk about what happened later. But if you just read it at face value, it sounds very much like the man that was created was actually, in fact, both male. He created him, male and female. He created them. So it's almost like we've got an androgynous, or what would be the word? both genders going on in one in man there. So the word Adam actually means man, meaning human, not just male. Okay, so we've separated man out from Adamah. So we've separated Adam from Adamah. This little rubby thing is not working very well. And what have we lost? This letter here, the hey, was it means the wind, breath, spirit. Basically means the spirit that permeates all things. That's what this letter hey actually means. It is I've talked about this before. It is a feminine concept. If you put a hey at the end of a Hebrew word, it indicates female gender. So Adam, this process of separating Adam out from the spirit, the feminine spirit, is also describing the process of separating Adam out from Eve as well. So fascinating. And if you put them all together, it's referring to the earth, the ground from whence we came. So I don't know if I'm articulating this very well, but to me, it seems like it's describing this process whereby we as human beings were separated out from our earth mother and to become separate from the sort of collective energy, from the collective wisdom, if you like, from the spirit, to, start on this process of knowing ourselves as separate beings. Now, so what have we got left once we take this sort of universal spirit consciousness away from the human? We have Aleph, which is, consciousness. That's not going to fit, is it? Consciousness. It's refers to, the Aleph is a symbol for the masculine god. So, the creative being, the aware being, the self-knowing being. So that we kept that as we became separate from the universal consciousness. We became self-aware, self-conscious. This Dalet here is a door, and this one, the Mem, is represents water. But if you put these two together, dam, that actually is the word for blood. So we've got consciousness. As human beings, we retain consciousness, and blood, which of course is what gives us essentially life in this realm. The blood, it keeps us mortal. It's what makes us mortal. So fascinating. So I could go into a deep dive about this word blood itself and how it's sort of a huge story in itself to do with salvation and cleansing, but I might leave that for another video. Okay, so we've got consciousness, we've got mortality, we've been separated out from the universal feminine spirit energy. And the separation after man is separated out from the feminine consciousness, the universal consciousness, and begins to sense himself as being separate, or themselves as being separate, because at this point it's both genders. But then we have another what would you call a microcosm of this larger process when Eve is separated out from Adam, and we have the separation between the genders. What's fascinating is that Eve in Hebrew is Hava, and it means if you have this word here with the yod instead of the vav in the middle, means life, means to be, means living. So Hava essentially means the same thing. So Eve, and Adam calls his wife Eve because he said she is the mother of all living. So essentially we have Eve as the microcosm of this concept, the spirit of life. So when the genders are separated, we have the masculine maintaining, the masculine separation consciousness, and then we have the feminine being separated out and representing on the microcosmic level the spirit of life, which humanity was separated from on that sort of larger level, on that larger scale. And then microcosmically, they were separated into those two aspects as well. We usually find that there's like a fractal effect where we have the same processes playing out on every level of creation. If we want to go back to an even higher level, that happened on a cosmic level as well, but I won't talk about that in this video. But I just think it's fascinating that this word, original word that we started talking about, Adamah, Ground, which is here. Sorry, it's all fuzzy again. Actually tells the story of the separation of man from the spirit of the earth, and also between the genders of the separation of the masculine from its feminine aspect as well. So, interesting stuff. Much more to say. Maybe I'll do a video now on the breakdown of this word blood. That could be a shorter little thing. And I'm not very eloquent this morning, but I'll leave it at that.